Hey, Secret House Against. Album reviews, hip-hop discussions, Tokyo-based. Me and Jed are here again with Deza. This is the last review that we're doing as a group, and then maybe we'll do a Mega Late Show episode where we get to talk to Deza about his artistry, and event organizing and such. But yeah, Tokyo, what up?
Yo.
What up?
Scaring the Hoes, DLC pack.
I gotta say, I feel like this isn't really scaring the host. The CP.
I mean, the whole, I think they even kind of poke fun at that idea a little bit on here. You know, obviously it's just like, I think originally the whole thing was meant to just be like, yo, quit being weird. Like, you're scaring the host.
Yeah, I know.
And now it's kind of turned into like, oh, I'm scaring the host. Death grips. And it's just like a little bit corny.
It did get a little bit mimetic.
Very quickly. And like, you know, we'll get into it, but like JPEG Mafia and Danny Brown are a lot doper than that.
Yeah,
Word.
so they really are.
4 songs, 15 minutes. This is just like a DLC pack for the album.
Yeah.
Go back and check out our review of the album. We discussed it kind of quickly as it came out. I think that following weekend that it came out, I'm not sure. But are you familiar with JPEG Mafia and
Yeah.
Daniel Brown?
Yeah, I'm familiar with JPEG through Jet, actually. Funny enough.
What?
I got into this stuff after we started producing and working together. But Danny Brown, I knew from like back in high school. I think my first experience with Danny Brown was on One Train with A$AP Rocky, that track. Then I went back and checked out some other shit and stuff. Yeah, I mean, he's been through a lot, Danny Brown. So
Yeah.
you know, I think even during the recording of the album, he was kind of dealing with some stuff, going in rehab.
he went to
and whatnot.
rehab.
Went into rehab. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
getting
Shout
clean.
out.
So-
Danny Brown is a fellow Filipino nigga-pino, so shout out to
Oh,
my
word?
cousin.
Really?
Yeah, he black and Filipino.
Damn, that's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Okay. So, I guess generally we all had pretty positive reviews on the first part of this, or the main disc.
The main course.
Yeah.
Of the album. I gotta say, I only listened to this album about twice. I watched the music video, which the song order is different on the music video, and also there's a ton of like additional footage and kind of like mimetic weird type of things in that. And I enjoyed the music video more than I enjoy the album
haven't seen the
just musically.
Likewise,
Because it's like, it's a combination, you know what I mean? And it's funny. There's a lot of funny things going on in the music video, the way they shot it. I was watching it this morning. My daughter walked in. She's like, "What are you watching?" I was like, "That's called a strip club, and I don't need you to be in here right now," because there's like one part where they're in a strip club. It's dope. Generally,
I gotta say, just funny as hell. They called it DLC. I don't know. That's just so random.
That's a very JPEG Mafia move.
Yeah, no
like,
doubt.
that was definitely straight away. He's like, yeah, this is the DLC pack.
Yeah.
It honestly had me missing DLC, which is not something I never thought I'd say, but now in this like games as a live service era where you're just having like a constant rollout of new content and you're like meant to just be constantly putting money into it. We used to go from just paying $60 for a video game and then just like having the game to like, oh, you got to pay like an extra $20 to have your DLC, and then maybe there's some characters or some cosmetics or whatever, you pay for those, and then it adds up.
Yeah.
And now it's just like literally every facet of a video game you have to pay extra for. Whereas this is some good DLC.
Yeah, some
This
good
is
shit.
Dark
Good
Souls
shit.
2 Crown of the Ivory King.
yeah,
Like,
this
yeah.
is
That's a
The
reference.
Witcher 3.
To go over some
fucking-
heads.
Yeah, I
Blood
fuck
and
with it.
Iron, something like that.
It definitely has to me. The album has a much different vibe than the original joint. Like the
Yeah.
original joint, I could see like, okay, yeah, this is a little bit scarier for me as a hoe. It's a little bit more random. It's a little bit different. This album, 2 of the beats, especially Hermanos, which is like a sample, like a Spanish
It was,
flip, very simple.
Famous musician in. I know his name, but
I don't know
Anyways.
who it is behind Hermanos, but then there's also the kind of Al Green flip, the very clear Al Green flip on Tell Me Where to Go. And those don't they sound like they would have been outliers on the original album, whereas No times 32 or whatever the number it is.
no.
Yeah, and guess what, bitch? We back ho. Those 2 could have possibly been on the full length.
Absolutely.
I think, but the other 2 just don't.
These 4 tracks were just cut then, huh? Pretty much.
I don't know.
We
Maybe
don't
they
know.
were made
We don't know.
after, or maybe, you know what I mean? Like, I have I didn't do any reading on it.
Yeah.
I actually wasn't all that excited about it because, like, I just wasn't. I don't know.
It
I'm a
just
huge
dropped
fan.
randomly.
I'm a huge fan,
Likewise,
but-
I'm a massive fan of both of these artists. They're probably both in my top 5 like favorite rappers, even if they wouldn't be on my Mount Rushmore or whatever hip hop paternalism. But yeah, no, I'm not gonna say pleasantly surprised by the album because, like, these guys haven't let me down so far.
Yeah.
But since my favorite kind of elements of the Scaring the Hose Part 1 album were the kind of like JPEG Mafia will take a vocal sample, speed it up, pitch it up, and like kind of, you know, thin it out on the EQ, and then banging drums, you know, and like a really cool like bass line and some like chords, you know, sparingly over the top. Guess what, bitch? We backhoe first track straight into it. Like this is pure distilled JPEG Mafia, Danny Brown,
on it
the SpongeBob sample, like, you know, just random stuff. You know, there's that meme where it's like, I'm still mad about George Bush, you know, Vine sound.
And Danny sounds so fucking dope over JPEG
sick,
production. I think for some reason I always feel that he's outshining JPEG just because his voice and style just meshes so fucking well with it. As soon as he comes in, I'm like, oh my god, this like, you know, if it's all like this, then this is crazy incredible. And I love Danny over that beat. Guess what, bitch? We backhoe. I think if this was all just as one project, that's easily a top 5 from the entire Scaring the Hose
chronology.
Yeah, canon. So yeah, I love that one a lot. Also, you know, money can't save you, bitch. I'm with that. Danny Brown is always saying some shit that I'm like, I agree with you a lot on this, Danny. And then he'll say some other shit, and I'll be like, take it easy, take it easy, Peggy. Yeah. But the music video for that is so ill. I recommend watching. Maybe I'll put it there. Yeah, it's playing right now. It's playing right now.
Hey,
yeah.
Wow,
So I'll do that. I can do stuff like that sometimes. So yeah, that's really dope. I just didn't really. Hermanos and
the sample was by Hugo. It's a Hugo. That's the guy's name. I forget his last name. It's Hugo.
Oh,
okay. Well,
super famous, but yeah.
I mean, it seemed, you know, that's a very recognizable, like, you could probably, you know, play a portion of it and then Shazam or whatever find this song app will figure it out. Just like the Al Green flip. I don't really care for that either, but I like that Danny's kind of using his regular voice on it, which is something that I'm always interested in. It's like it's how I feel about Madlib. I'm like, I like Quasimodo, but sometimes I want to hear Madlib rapping, and that was just a nice kind of change up. I like it, and in fact, that did the very opposite of scaring me as a hoe myself. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like I could play this on a first date type of shit. You know what I mean?
I was surprised when it came in because I mean, you know, it's a testament to both of their flexibilities as artists that I was like, oh, okay, this is like a simple flip from JPEG Mafia. He has his like fine touch. He likes to include little things, tiny little arpeggios here and there, sounds, you know, often from video games and TV shows, stuff like that. But you know, largely it's just quite a simple loop. For both tracks.
It's like JPEG making some Griselda shit. I don't know how else to say it, you know?
Yeah.
Like putting his own twist on it.
It seems much more conventional hip-hop than most of his other stuff.
And yeah, Danny Brown just kind of, you know, we get the Dr. Jekyll Danny Brown as opposed to the check, you know, Mr. Hyde type character.
Yeah. I mean, he slid on it too. As soon as he came in from like the first, like, wow.
His regular voice is so dope. Like, you know what I mean? It was just nice to see that Danny come back. Yeah. I guess, you know, this album actually made me leave the JPEG Mafia subreddit. I just can't handle it, guys. Like, you know, a lot of the only social media that I'm actively on a daily basis is Reddit. And I go to my favorite artist pages just to kind of be kept in the loop for their shit. But man, on like the Griselda page, on the not the Danny Brown, but the JPEG Mafia page, there's just like this tremendous interest in their lives outside of the music. And I guess there was a line, bitch, I ain't Baby King.
Yeah, that's
my cousin ain't gave me shit. It seems like such a throwaway, but I guess people were mad about it.
It's funny as hell, man.
It's funny, yeah.
Well, the thing was, I guess like JPEG Mafia really did his JPEG Mafia on Twitter towards the people who were
about triggering or something.
Yeah, it's just like, bro, you care. He's like a JPEG Mafia is a terminally online type of dude, and I get it. Like you sell yourself, you're a celebrity, but man,
it's rough to see though because like this is something I see a lot with like Lil Ugly Mane as well. When he posts online, you can tell that like the fans are just like too invested. There's like a parasocial element to it where it's like. So often Lil Ugly Mane is just like, look, please don't DM me about your depression or your self-harm issues. I don't want to know about this stuff. Like, leave me alone. I'm just a guy who makes music. I'm not your friend.
Yeah.
and I definitely get that sense from a lot of JPEG Mafia fans that there's like just maybe too much of an investment in Barrington as this kind of online figure, like presence, like he's your favorite streamer or something like that.
I think that's just unfortunately the way his music and how.
Oh yeah, I mean it's
online.
like online music as well.
Yeah.
You know, it's so tied up with like video games and like MMA, boxing. There's a bit of that, that kind of sports element to it. A lot of the Japan influence, Japanese samples here and there. It's like nerdy, but like
he's also
nerdy and like
iconoclastic and irregular
nobody
leftist.
Sounds like him. Yeah.
So people get really tied up into that shit, but I really I don't care to see you trying to get him to spit in your mouth at a show, or like a lot of fandom to me ruins like artists for me to a degree. Like I sometimes I feel like I have to react to the Drake love by hating on Drake, which I really don't give a shit at all, but like at a certain point the fans start to tilt me in a way that makes me resent the artist, and I had to leave the subreddit because I was just like, I don't really care about JPEGs dealing with samples and fucking Baby Keem throwaway bars and how he reacts, you know what I mean? So but I didn't mean to take us off, but that line is funny and dope, right?
Yeah,
it's also
there's
it's
a lot
also
of funny and dope
fucking
lines on the album.
It's also kind of true, I suppose. I'm not saying that Baby Keem is not talented, but I'm not sure I would have ever listened to him if Kendrick wasn't.
He got his start on like the Black Panther album.
Oh yeah,
yeah. He did like an interview and he was like, by the will of
Disney,
God,
Marvel property.
By the will of God, I got on the album, bro. Are you serious, man?
Yeah, by nepotism is a big thing. Yeah, but
still dope music though. But
I didn't care for his album much at all, except for the Kendrick verses. But that's not the point. This album's good. This is great.
There's not much to say. I mean, it's 15 minutes. It's more of Scaring the Hose, part one. Hermanos and Tell Me Where to Go definitely feel like tracks that didn't feel like they fitted, so maybe they got put aside. Honestly, I think my least favorite on there is no.
Let's rank your. How would you rank these songs in terms of your favorite to least?
So I would rank them 1, 3, 2, 4.
1, 3, 2, 4.
1.
Guess what? Tell Me Where to Go, Hermanos. No.
That's exactly how I rank them too.
Mine's a little
1, 3, 2, 4.
Mine is 3, 1, 2, 4.
Okay.
So I like
okay, you really feeling that.
Tell Me Where to Go. I think it's just a personal artist preference. As soon as I heard it, I wanted to rap on it. So yeah, it just the percussion with the sample was so nice. Like
it is clean.
So yeah.
Yeah, there's such an outlier in the sound that I kind of have come to expect from JPEG Mafia. He's always pleasantly surprising me with the twists and turns that his music makes. And don't ruin this for me, fucking fans.
Not to get too invested in the process, but like I know that JPEG Mafia is an extremely prolific artist. There's a video where he's in the studio with James Blake, the British electronic musician.
I didn't know he was British till like yesterday, actually.
Okay, I've been a long-time fan of James Blake. I met him once. That dude's tall as shit. He's like ridiculously tall.
Damn,
he like towers over me.
Privilege.
I like saw him and I was just like, I just went to like shake his hand, say, hey James, like I'm a big fan, like whatever. And then this was after the show, and we like made eye contact and he was kind of like hello, and then this girl behind me goes, oh my god, it's James Blake, and he was just like I have to go now. Literally the only thing he said to me was just I have to go now, and he just disappeared. I was like, all right, cool.
Like disappeared into the shadows of the night.
But yeah, so James Blake and JPEG Mafia are in the studio together, and I do think even though they make very different music, there is a degree of like kindredness to to what they do, because they're both like kind of weird and radical and fiercely individualistic in their composition. But James Blake mentioned like, oh yeah, I did like 17 songs for the album and like 14 of them made the cut. And JPEG Mafia is like, oh, I did like 81 tracks and I think he's talking about Cornballs, which is like a 20-track album. He's like, oh, I did like 81 tracks and then I just cut, hatchet through the whole thing. Which makes you wonder, like, how many of these are there?
Word.
I mean, that's when I was listening to the album, I was like, or the EP, I was like, I could see Denzel Curry over this shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then I looked online later, and he might be on volume 2. So
okay,
they've
collaborated before.
Well, they said I thought he said there's 4 albums dropping this year.
Right.
I don't know if this is included, but I'm expecting at least 2 more.
Yeah.
From JPEG Mafia.
If he can even hit like 80% as good as LP, like that's probably going to make my end of year list. I love that album.
Yeah, that's for me. That's magnum opus for him as well.
Yeah, that's like a classic for me now.
Yeah,
love that.
Yeah,
record.
that's definitely my favorite. And I didn't like Cornballs all that much, but I like Veteran. I like Black Ben Carter. I like Scaring the Hose Volume 1. But fucking man, Danny is just fucking hard.
He's crazy. Very always.
Yeah. Anyways, I think. Do you have anything else to say about this album? We speak a lot.
What do you like? How do you guys feel about the mix? You know, the album, the not the DLC, but the actual album. There were some people complaining about the mix.
I get that because like on the main album, Danny Brown is very textural. You know, unlike Lean Beef Patty, you have no idea what he's saying, right? You can hear the beat and the drums really bang, and like there's all these elements coming in and out. Like it's very dense. There's lots of different layers, and you kind of hear over the top. You can't really hear what Danny Brown is saying. Whereas on this one, he's like a little more. He cuts through more. He's clearer.
I think they did change that a little bit this time around. So.
This album sounds cleaner than the other album, but I also it didn't take away from that album for me the same way that like Spirit World Field Guide just sounds so tinny I can't listen to it. The Aesop Rock Project, like that one, I'm just kind of like sometimes shit sounds muddy, and this is one of them. It still fucking bangs for me. I heard it. Me and Scott Popular were playing it loud at the Legacy Lounge, and we were both like, I don't give a fuck if it sounds muddy. I hope my ears bleed.
No, I definitely want to hear Guess What Bitch We Backhoe through some big speakers at some point.
No doubt.
I want to see it live, man.
I would pay good money
they're
for
on
that.
tour right now, right?
Not out here, unfortunately. If they came out here, I bet you it would be like a fucking festival.
They both fuck with Japan, right? So I can see it.
Yeah. Shout out.
Yeah, Scaring the Hose, DLC.
Secret House Against.
Scholars of the First Sin.
Like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and consider joining our Patreon.
Enter the dominatrix.
Not stay in Russia.
Because my father was a slave, and my people died to build this country. And I'm going to stay here and have a part of it just like you, and no fascist-minded people will drive me from it. Is that clear?
You are here because you are promoting the communist cause.
I am here because I'm opposing the neo-fascist cause, which I see arising in these committees. Jefferson could be sitting here, and Frederick Douglass could be sitting here. Eugene Debs could be sitting here.
Now, what prejudice are you talking about? You were graduated from Rutgers. You were graduated from the University of Pennsylvania. I remember seeing you play football at Lehigh. There was no prejudice against you.
Just a moment. This is something I challenge very deeply, that the success of a few Negroes can make up for $700 a year for thousands of Negro families in the South. My father was a slave, and I have cousins who are sharecroppers. I do not see success in terms of myself. I have sacrificed hundreds of thousands of dollars for what I believe in.
While you were in Moscow, Mr. Robeson, did you make a speech lauding Stalin?
I can't remember.
Have you recently changed your
What has
mind about
happened
Stalin?
to Stalin, gentlemen, is a question for the Soviet Union, and I won't argue with a representative of the people who, in building America, wasted the lives of my people. You are responsible, you and your forebears, for 60 to 100 million black people dying in the slave ships and on the plantations. Don't you ask me about anybody.
I'm sure you wouldn't want to discuss with us the slave labor camps in the
Nothing
Soviet
could build
Union.
more on slavery than this society, I assure you.
I would invite your attention to the Daily Worker of June 29, 1949, with reference to a get-together with you and Ben Davis, formerly communist councilman in New York. Do you know Ben
One
Davis?
of my dearest friends. He is as patriotic an American as can be, and you, gentlemen, are the non-patriots.
Just a minute.
You are the un-American.
The hearing is now adjourned.
I think it should be.
I've been doing all of this that I can.
Can I read my statement?
No! The meeting is adjourned.
It should be.